Good evening, everyone. Welcome to another edition of Awaken the World. We are live right now. It is 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time if you're here on this planet. 12th of February 2021. Boy, almost halfway through February. Time is flying. The concept that you are somehow broken is a lie. Hello, hello, hello. So, as always, before we begin, let me express my love for each and every one of you. You are each a unique representation or representative of that creative consciousness, a one of a kind, someone that'll never be seen before and never be seen again. You have value here on this planet. And you have a glorious purpose that is happening in every moment of the day, whether you're aware of it or not. Now, a lot of times, egoically, we don't see anything glorious, whether it's washing dishes or, mopping the floor as I was doing last night, whatever the case may be. But there is a gloriousness to it when you look deep enough. Speaking about looking deep, we're going to talk about a bunch of things tonight. And again, excuse the denture thing. I'm still getting used to talking with these teeth. Still needing a little bit of adjustment next week. So let's start by maybe backing up a step, okay? And taking a look at that piece about the idea that you're the cause of whatever's happening to you that Kelly had posted from Sadhguru. Now, I personally don't agree with that at all. And the reason being is the whole concept of cause is really just a grammatical convenience. It doesn't have any meaning at all. It doesn't do anything to delineate all the things going on. It is more correct to say that you are the root cause of your own experience. That's saying something totally different, and in my mind, much more truthful. It is unwise, unfair, and unrealistic to say that the baby is the cause of the parent abusing the baby. We all know that there is something deeper going on with that parent figure. Now, of course, that baby won't have an egoic consciousness that's developed at the time, but later on in life, and I speak to this from my own experience as being, 5 years old and younger and being sexually abused by my father. When I became fully aware of it, because of course it was buried quite deep in my psyche for a long time as a protective measure, okay, I had a choice. That's where the root cause of my experience belongs to me. How was I going to view what had occurred? How do I choose to view the experience and those involved in the experience? Now, it'd be really easy to say, well, my dad was a bad person. But you know what? He wasn't a bad person. I don't really believe there's any such thing as a bad person. Each of us has and is that divine creator manifest in apparent form. There are only good people in bad situations with confused ways of looking at things, carrying around a lot of damage. Now, I just said that, and given the topic of tonight's video, that would seem to fly in the face of it. And I'm going to explain that why when we get into the idea about being broken. But let's continue on this path for a moment. So, we need to understand that we as beings here are not at the whim of anything else except how we choose to view ourselves and our experience and those involved in our experience. And it would be very easy to say, as I said, bad person, bad experience, judgment this, judgment that. Tied up in that, of course, comes that identification to ego. The idea of victimhood, of being the victim, of being powerless. Ego readily takes on any cloak that it's offered, and this is a very popular cloak. And it's always on sale too, turns out. Big flashing lights. Pick me, I'm the victim cloak. One-time deal. Hard to let go of. Never wears out. But indeed, it's really about choice. And I asked myself then whether looking upon my father from that knee-jerk reaction of being a bad person would actually benefit me at all. And I found that it wouldn't. That all the things it would leave as scars on me due to my choice on how to perceive it, my point of view, my opinion over those events from my limited frame of reference, I knew that if I chose to judge it harshly, I would suffer from that. So I chose to look deeper. And as I grew in conscious awakening and had my first near-death experience and became fully aware that I had actually chosen those parents, knowing damn well what was going to happen, actually relishing the concept of rising out of my childhood, how does that change our perception all of a sudden? This idea of root cause is you pertains to you, not to anyone else. Not about what they're doing to you, not about whether it's raining or sunny out. The universe, quite frankly, doesn't give a rat's ass. Each of us have the entirety of the focus of creation without anything else being taken into consideration. You have all the attention of the cosmos on you right now saying, what do you choose? Look what we tend to choose for ourselves. And this is going to lead right into the concept of the idea that you are somehow broken, that there's something wrong with you. And the number of businesses and people that would prey upon you and the idea that there is something somehow wrong with you is mind-boggling. So how do we get from what I was just talking about to right here now? What's broken? I'm going to use my own example again. So if I had assumed that victim cloak of my dad's physical abuse upon me and sexual abuse upon me as a child, 5 years old and younger than that, because apparently it went on for a few years. So, it started around 3 years of age. If I chose to take on that victim cloak, chose to look at it and see that as so hateful and hurtful and shouldn't have been, and all of those things, my point of view would create the illusion that I am broken or damaged. And if that point of view is hurtful enough and hateful enough And that egoic cloak of victimhood is growing stronger and stronger and feeding itself more and more. You imagine yourself to be a badly damaged person, that there is something wrong with you. This is the greatest lie ever told. The greatest form of control that one person perpetrates upon another is the idea that there's something wrong with them. There is nothing wrong with you, except what you choose to be wrong with you. Now, you may say that's really unfair, Garhen. I don't choose to have a bipolar mind. And I would chuckle and say to you that that bipolar mind isn't you. That which you are lies beyond your limited concept of self when you're stuck in this body, apparently looking out from behind a pair of eyes. We are surrounded by people who will be quite willing, in order to somehow salve their own feeling of brokenness, to point out all the places where you are broken. It's so easy to forget that yin and yang, isn't it? To remember moment to moment that we live in a relative universe, and in that relative universe, broken and whole are part of the same coin. They don't exist independent of each other. They are part and parcel of the same wholeness. And the only thing that delineates broken or whole is your choice on how you perceive yourself. One of the worst ways to build up that concept of being broken is to go ahead and start comparing yourself to anybody else around you. The only place apples to apples exist is with apples. You, as I said before, are a unique, one of a kind that has never been seen in 13.8 billion years or more, and will never be seen again once that vehicle or vessel that you are driving around on this planet is done with. The particular self that you drummed up and imagined into being for this experience here, for this journey, is perfect. Why is it so hard to accept your own perfection then? Because, as I said, we get caught up in the idea of looking outside of ourselves and seeing, well, Frank next door deals with conflict so much better than I do. So there must be something wrong with me. The only thing that is wrong, and let's just skip that completely. Let's just go to right to how to fix it. If you are experiencing ideas in your head, ideas in your life that you are somehow broken or somehow not right, there are 3 pathways to get there. Pathway number 1, dish out about $150,000 and 5 years of intense psychotherapy, and maybe you'll finally get by it all. That's path number 1. Path number 2, drop it all. Right here, right now. Accept that right here in this moment, in this journey, in this time, on this physical plane, on your path on this planet, from the moment you came out of the womb to the moment you return to dust, that every aspect of your being is acting out the perfection of the plan. And that there is nothing broken about you. You can drop that cloak of brokenness right now. You can just let it go. Shrug it right off. That's a tough one for a lot of people. I know, I shrugged that cloak off and then I went back and picked it up again. And then I shrugged it off again. And I tell you, I traveled half this damn planet shrugging the cloak off, trying to leave it on top of the mountains in the Himalayas, trying to leave it out in the middle of the desert, dumping it in the middle of the damn ocean. And you know what? I sat on the beach and waited for it to wash back up so I could pick it up and put it back on. Time and time again, I shrugged it off. There's a third way. The third way is to look at your perceived brokenness and then look backwards and find that originating event. Find that, and I'm, to make this easy, of course, using myself as an example, I'm going to give an example. One of the issues that was hidden from myself for a long time by myself, even though I had dropped through my choice on how to perceive the sexual abuse that my father heaped upon myself and my sister, I didn't realize that there was a leftover remnant there that formed a hair trigger. And that hair trigger was whenever I saw someone who clearly could not defend themselves against the person who was attacking them, i.e., a lightweight girl and a big guy, I lost it. I became a cold, calculating, killing machine and would literally race right through traffic, crossing multiple lanes without even glancing in either direction. So intent on my target. And that was totally unconscious. And the first time it happened to me, it took me by shock because I was literally going to kill this person. And I found, through a lot of introspection, a lot of contemplation, that I had not looked deep enough at that event and realized that the core it was trying to give me was a willingness to stand for those who could not protect themselves. And my holding back from doing so for so long had created that hair trigger within me. And once I allowed myself to realize what it was really about and to start to stand for others from a place of peace and clarity, the unconsciousness, the trigger went away. We each have these little triggers, and it comes from the way we chose to perceive the events and circumstances and experiences and people in our lives. And if we are willing to work backwards and look at them with a higher state of consciousness, to literally relive them from that deeper knowing, from that overview, to see the gift in the apparent pain, to see the teaching that was offered us even as we were whipped. In doing so, in facing those things, we find the root of what we perceive as our brokenness today. And when we see that root for what it really is, the healing is simultaneous. This is honestly a deeply bothersome subject for me, and I feel deeply for the number of people who find themselves and think that they are broken. You're not. You never were, and you never will be. As a matter of fact, it's quite impossible. You come here to have fun. You come here to experience physicality, to get to know the magnificent one that you are through the apparent eyes of an individuated little speck in the middle of the cosmos. And what a view we have. There is no step, no matter how you choose to judge it, that is not bathed in that same perfection, bathed in that same love. And even in the midst of pain, you can find freedom. What we're really talking about here is the suffering that we choose to put ourselves through, consciously or otherwise. I would invite you to drop the lie that there's anything wrong with you at all. Do not measure yourself against another, for there is no other like you. Do not measure yourself against society. We live in an insane world. Look around you. If you must judge yourself, look only upon yourself in the mirror in dim light. If you enjoy what you see when you look deep into your own eyes, if you allow yourself to see that spark of light, you'll be perfectly fine with who you are right now. That's it. That's all. That's all I got tonight. Much love. Namaste. Have a wonderful, what is it, Friday? Friday night. Losing days, losing years, losing months. We'll speak again very soon. Take care. You are truly amazing.